Ready?
Yep. Okay, Dan, we appreciate your time. Thank you for being here with us and, allowing me to be here with you guys at the SEMA Garage. Give people an idea of who you are and why you're able to be the one who runs this program.
Okay, so I'm Dan Gardner, DG-Spec and DG-Spec Racing. I'm the founder and the manager of. DG-Spec has a long history with Scion Racing and Toyota. 3 national championships with them, took them to Grand Am, won all 3 World Challenge championships with the team, kind of put Scion on the map in road racing. So we're very hands-on, not just with racing, but in engineering our own stuff and building our own stuff. Everything has to perform. There's a place for hot rods, but that's not what we do. We make things that actually work on the street and on the track. So when we get our hands on these GR Corollas, which we did last week at our Long Beach shop, we start looking at them, we start taking them apart, we start trying to understand them before we roll into a SEMA measuring session like this, so that we can be very much a resource to all the aftermarket companies who show up to be able to answer questions and provide technical expertise on these cars so that they can get parts in the marketplace.
So for this measuring session, prototyping, 3D scanning, and everything that's going on for the release of these cars, Dan and his squad are the only ones who are touching them. So we don't just get to come in here and modify them or take them apart. Only him and his guys, and they put them right back together because you guys said you're going to the tracks. They're being used in multiple capacities. So only him and his guys are the ones who touch the cars. So you run all of this stuff here. These cars are out of the SEMA Garage tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what do we have here in front of us that people have a chance to learn about right now and look forward to when they're able to purchase them?
So in front of us right now, really in back of me at the moment, is a GR Corolla Circuit Edition prototype. Not too many of these are going to be made. Will be on sale next year sometime. We do have a core, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the Circuit Edition has all the great things as the standard core Corolla, GR Corolla does, but it adds things like a forged carbon fiber roof and special aero bits. It also comes stock with the helical or the torsion differentials, front and rear, the limited slips, right? So there's a whole bunch of additional equipment, a lot of additional dress up and looks with the car. There's one unique color, which is actually this one. This is the heavy metal, and very much a coveted piece, as much as the whole car will be coveted.
Yes.
Circuit Edition is only model year 23. After that, they will not make another Circuit Edition.
Okay, so do we have production numbers for this? How many are they going to release in 23?
We don't have production numbers on Circuit Edition or the whole. But I would say that you're talking maybe 1 or 2 cars per store.
Wow.
That's where we're at.
I see.
for this.
Yeah, so, the whole thing, we're going to get to this model in a moment, but this entire car, is it part of Toyota's plan to make them that rare? Is that part of the plan?
I think that there's a plan about that. Look, North America knows there are more people that are going to want one than there are cars that we are going to get.
Yes.
I think that we would like to have them in more people's hands.
Yes.
There's some different realities. It's not just a strategery thing. I mean, the factory can only turn out so many. It's not like screwing together a Prius or a Camry or a Highlander. It's a group of technicians that are specifically skilled to build these cars that were put together by the Gazoo Racing team.
Okay, so where are all of these being assembled?
The Motomachi plant in Japan.
Every one of them?
Every one
From
of them.
base, circuit, all of them? All in Japan. Okay, perfect. So, like you said, some logistics and things of that nature, and then, you know, some strategics. It's created these numbers that already has the internet and people are foaming at the mouth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the one edition that is basically gonna be unobtainable, right? Which, I mean, you guys should already know what we're talking about. We're talking about 200 editions only, and that's less than how many Toyota dealers there are.
1,250, give or take. Yeah.
And there's 200 of those editions that are gonna come out. So that car is gonna, okay, if you had to guess, what do you think the dealer markup's gonna be?
I have no idea.
It goes up to $49,900, right? That's what that car's gonna go for.
Destination just over shit. Yeah, but $49,900 is the base price.
Factory MSRP, right?
Yes.
And I mean, the numbers I've heard are 75 would be a steal because of just just the way the dealers are doing things.
Yes.
The market is 75 would be the most grab it if you could get it. Yeah.
Well, but wait, I'm going to back you up a second.
Okay.
That assumes that any dealer that gets one will even offer it for sale. We don't know that.
Okay, so he brings up a really, really good point. I was talking about it with the SEMA guys, other enthusiasts, and the dealers don't actually have to sell them. They can hold on to them. You guys have seen with the whole bring a trailer era, you got dealers that have like a Grand National that's got like 1 mile on it. There's someone with an Accord that has this. So I mean, they could hold on to it and just ride it out for whatever, or the owner of the dealership could keep it for themselves.
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time, and with a vehicle that only has 200.
Yeah.
I mean, and that let's not put all the focus on that. I mean, for the real Toyota fans, they all know what GR has meant for years. People know about Gazoo. People know about, Mr. Toyota with a D, right? With a D.
Yep.
But, for the other enthusiasts, I think this car is going to be an amazing gateway, right? Because you're talking about 300 horsepower, 6-speed manual transmission, all-wheel drive as an entry-level option. All of them make the same horsepower.
That's right.
And so I think there's people who are foaming at the mouth until we find out that you might low-key be buying a Corolla for $80,000, right? So, what are you gonna do though?
Okay, so I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna make a very obvious statement.
Okay.
I think that anyone who really wants one right now, do what you can, pay whatever you think is fair, regardless of the markup. But here's the important part. This is not the only model year this car will be produced. You do not have to buy one now if you don't want to get into that kind of a game.
Sure.
And it's hard for people to think about, well, there's another model year and another model year, because they want it now. The heat is now.
Right.
Just like it was with the launch edition Supra. If that is the place you want to be, and it's important for you to be the first one on the block and to get it, and for a lot of people that's important, then you pay what you pay. But don't forget, there are more cars coming besides model year 23.
Perfect.
So again, we're at the back side right now of the Circuit Edition GR Corolla. A couple things that I think are worth pointing out, besides you already talked about the forged carbon fiber roof. It's the fact that it has a much more bulging and aggressive and vented hood than the Core does, which I think is particularly cool. It has rain gutters that help, by the louvers, move water away from the motor. But with 110mm bolt, you can pop the gutters out and have more heat extraction on the track.
Wow.
It's almost as though, not almost as though, it is that Akio Toyoda and his team designed it for street and for track use. Another feature that I want to say is unique to Circuit versus the Core is that it has functional brake ducts. Functional brake ducts for the front of these brakes. Multiple tubes that are bent in the right way that grab air from the front and ram it into the side area where the caliper and the rotors sit. I don't know exactly what the temperature reduction is, but you could get 100, 200 degrees of temperature reduction with something like that. The Core does not have that. But just about everything you see on the car that looks like a vent or an opening is real. I mean, there's not any fake stuff going on here either with the louvers, the brake ducts. We have some air curtain aero that helps move air out of the fender and out of the fender well and away from the tire and around the side of the car. Everything's functional.
So what is your favorite aspect from having basically taken them apart a bunch of times already, putting them back together, these little nuances that Mr. Toyota and all these engineers put together? Do you have one favorite thing that really just stands out to you as something that puts it apart from the rest in any kind of way?
Yeah, but it's probably going to be a different kind of answer.
Go on, please.
My favorite thing about it is that it's greater than the sum of its parts. I mean,
any real car head's gonna get that answer. I think any real car head's gonna get it.
So yeah, it's a Corolla, and yeah, it's got these big brakes, but everything in balance, and it creates, again, something that has more, it's not a je ne sais quoi, it's that feeling that you get from driving the car where the brakes are really firm and the pedal is high and the steering has a lot of feedback in it, and the car's chassis tells you right about when it's going to break away and exactly how much more grip it has left to go. And so the tire had to be right, the suspension had to be right, the brakes had to be right, the torque curve had to be right. It is surprising, this 1.6 liter three-cylinder, how much low and mid-range torque it has, even climbing hills.
Sure.
Amazing.
No, and you know what? I actually am also interested in what the aftermarket will inevitably do. Someone's going to fiddle with turbocharging, someone's going to do it, and what they're going to pull out of 3 cylinders and 1.6 liters, I'm actually really fascinated. But out of the box, what you're saying is it is a 2023 car that still gives you a driver experience.
Well, 100%. And I mean, I would say, I hope it's not the end of an era, but as I tell a little 11-year-old at home, hope it's not a plan. This is probably a car that, whether it's the 2023 model year or the 2025, 2026, however long that Toyota makes it, this is a car that you're gonna wanna have. I mean, if you don't, this to me may mark, and this is my crystal ball, the end of a certain kind of an era where you have pure internal combustion, 6-speed manual transmission, H-pattern box, all-wheel drive, turbocharger. I mean, that's a certain kind of a thing. It's a special car.
You know, there's a lot of people, okay, so we talked about this, and it wasn't a jab, but you were like, oh, you're a Honda guy, right?
Well,
and it's
because I remember your car.
Okay, so
Ryan and Rywire and all
yeah,
that.
exactly, right? So, from SEMA, Battle of the Builders, things like that, and yeah, I am at heart a Honda guy, but over the years, writing for the different magazines, I had to learn about other types of chassis, and I learned to appreciate them a long time ago, hence me being here covering Toyotas. But the thing that's crazy about that is that we have all, especially Honda guys, you have the people, either Honda lovers or the haters, who are like, oh, I love them all, if only they made them rear wheel or all wheel. And they could apply that to anything, right? Prelude guys swear they should have been rear wheel drive. Civic Type R's are like, if they're not rear wheel or all wheel drive, what are they? And here we are, the Corolla, and Toyota is hitting us with 3 different versions that are all wheel drive. Turbocharged manual transmission. So there's something to really be said, because any car guy's like, I want to shift, and all-wheel drive is unbeatable. And then when you can shift from 50-50, 30-70, 60-40, right? So now you have the ability to bring the back end out, you have traction, so rainy weather, fun, drifting, street. It's kind of like they hit every point.
Yeah.
They hit, Mr. Toyota and them, and well, you guys hit a lot of points with this car.
I want to say this.
Okay.
Every GR car in the family now can be had with a manual transmission. And I don't know of many brands that can say things like that. And by the way, you can get a Tacoma with a manual. You can get a regular Corolla sedan with a manual. So Toyota, I would say, is now the king of the manual transmissions. And it's pretty exciting that I'm going to say, in all honesty,
yes,
the fact that 2023 marks the Supra manual transmission.
Yes.
I am telling you, I sat through meeting after meeting since late 2018.
Yes.
It was never going to come. It was never going to happen. There's no real market for it. Look at Corvette. Back when Corvette was in the C7 generation, 87% were automatics that were sold, so they went in that direction. Now they have obviously a twin clutch and that kind of a thing.
Sure.
But I never thought it would happen. I also didn't think it would happen because frankly, the 8 HP, which is a ZF box, it's in the Lamborghini spacing out the SUV.
Okay.
It's in the Maserati, it's in the Hellcats. It's a really good automatic transmission.
Yeah.
But just like you say, people love Hondas, people hate Hondas.
Yeah.
People can hate on automatic
For sure.
torque converters, but it's a really good box.
Right. The technology has, if people are thinking of the 90s automatic transmissions,
same, yeah.
it is not the same thing,
No.
right? So fair enough, but I mean, every real driver wants to shift their car.
Engagement, yeah, it's the engagement, it's the immersion,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually feeling connected with a car and enjoying that sensation of growing up and down, or
Yes.
getting that blip just right,
Right.
doing the kinds
Right.
of things that are satisfying. People aren't robots. They want to feel things. They want emotion. They want things that make them smile, things that get them excited.
Yes.
If anything, and going back to the Honda thing just for a second,
Sure.
I thought the NSX was an amazing car. It transformed everything. It lifted all the Italians to make cars that were more reliable and built-in features, and showed like you could have something you could drive every day and have that kind of performance.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people criticized it as being almost too sterile.
Underpowered.
And sterile, like
Yeah.
didn't have the character of the Ferrari or the
Which I think is the
that
most
kind of thing,
subjective
so.
statement ever. I mean, it's
Maybe.
artistic and gorgeous to this day.
Maybe. But like it is more in a lot of ways sterile to drive a GTR than it is a car that's like, it just kind of, all the electronics just sort of do
Yes,
things
yes.
for you. So in a way, what you're talking about, a manual transmission, is also what people like when they have manual steering,
Yes.
manual brakes, no traction control, no stability control. So that's a part of the purity of the experience, I think, too, and maybe that's kind of what people are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the simplicity of those items, just being able to control with your arm and your foot the exhaust note, right? When you shift, the blip, that's just something that's been slowly and is slowly disappearing. And now we have this entire family of manual transmission vehicles, which says a lot. So we go from the circuit edition, which everyone is really feeling, but there's a lot to be said. All the research I've done about the base, that's the one where you have the most tunability, the most options, and you can also only get the base model in black, right?
If you want black, you gotta buy a core.
If you want black, you have to get a core model. And I think it's a funny thing because it's base, aka core, but yet it's 300 horsepower, 6-speed, all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Just like the circuit.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then the technology package, the cold weather package, right? And then the performance package. So you can get it with front and rear LSDs. You can get it with those types of things. So this is the one, aside from being the most affordable one, it's the one that people I think have the option to have the most fun with.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, let's talk about the core model.
right.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
All right, Don, so we're right here, like we had just mentioned earlier, you can only get this black color in the core model, right? Okay, so is this what you think is gonna be the most tuner friendly, or is the most tuner friendly?
Yeah, in some ways, but the other important thing is you talked about the unobtainium
Yes,
of the Morizo.
yes.
This is at the other end. This is the car that's going to carry the lion's share of the volume. Bar none, right? The other two are basically special editions. This is the model that most people will find themselves in, that the dealers will actually sell, and we'll see what they actually sell them for.
Yes.
I think to your point though, the tunability of it, or that's a good tuner car, is because sure, you could get a circuit edition, it could have some extra stuff on it, but at the end of the day, it's like, are you gonna pay for some of that dress up, or do you want to do your own?
Right.
You can get the diffs, that's an important thing, in the performance package.
In the performance package.
In general, you can deal with, well, if you want to put on the brake ducts, you could probably do that too.
Yeah.
Lose those. But it does have the same brakes on it. I will point out that if you get a core, if you get any of the others, 14-inch diameter, which is 355 mil, which is bigger than the Supra.
Yeah.
Supra is 13.7 inch. You got a good size brake. This thing's got giant brakes on
Did
it.
you catch that? The core model Corolla comes with OE brake that are bigger than the Supra. So put that into perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, so, with all the Japanese companies, US companies that are gonna produce aero packages, a vented hood, right? Wide bodies or just flares. I can't imagine like what all is going to come out of this particular body, right? So I get what you're saying. I mean, the forged carbon roof, I mean, any car guys like foaming at the mouth, existing functional venting that we talked about, but like we all know, no matter what, companies are going to produce mild to wildness for it. And I think that this provides a very crazy platform, because as a Honda guy, the Civic was the thing that everyone took and went crazy with. And then if you wanted the SI or the Type R in those years, you could do that. And here you have basically the same type of options.
Yeah, so here's how I think that guys that are wanting to tune their cars think about things.
Okay.
The spread is around $7,000. So I don't know how much the performance package will consume, because let's say you got to have the diffs, right?
Sure.
Let's just say you got to have them. And let's say that leaves you with $4 or $5 grand.
Yes.
$4 or $5 grand is still a good amount of money to do. I'm just going to make it up now, right? A reflash or a boost controller, a downpipe, an exhaust, and intake. Probably do all of that, right? And then do your own wheels and your own tires. So I think that's how people are going to think about it. They're going to think about, well, here's the spread plus whatever the additional markup on a circuit edition is going to be, and if I put that money into this, boom, I've gone from a 13-second quarter mile to a 12, right?
Or an 11. With all-wheel drive, yeah.
Maybe an 11. Yeah.
I mean, so honestly, I think most cars on planet Earth look great in black.
Okay.
I actually really love the flat color. What is the name of that on the Morizo edition?
The matte gray.
It's like a matte gray?
Yeah, it's like a matte gray. It's kind of like the Phantom gray on the Supra, but that's not what Toyota's called.
Sure. That looks great. I mean, this heavy metal, so you have gloss and clear. I mean, that's a beautiful color. It's hard to not like anything in black. So this, I can imagine seeing a lot of people, T37s, like a beautiful set of black wheels, or a bronze. I mean, that's the thing about black. White, bronze, black wheels, anything, right? And so, I mean, just seeing what people are going to do in my head, whoever can get it, that's what I'm really interested in. So, you have these options, right? Cold weather package, technology package, performance package, but no forged carbon roof. Right. And you have cloth seats versus suede, right? And a couple of other things in the circuit edition, right?
Yeah, and you get the wing and some other things.
A couple other things like that. Yeah. Okay, so for the layman, right? Theoretically, this is going to be the most attainable and affordable. What do you foresee being the first thing that people do to it?
Probably exhaust.
Exhaust,
I mean,
right?
I wouldn't be the first thing that I would do.
Yeah.
But I think, any car, can benefit from some fluid stainless lines and a proper, brake pad if you're going to go do some serious driving.
Some track time, yeah.
And it's really inexpensive to do that.
Yep.
Especially when you have the brakes, the hardware is already so good. Just change the friction material and some fluid and some lines. But yeah, I think people will do the exhaust. I think they'll look at, what is there by way of sort of the intake.
Yep.
Maybe, how they deal with downpipe and stuff. Things are getting trickier when the turbos get built into the manifolds now. We had Garrett. Yes. Garrett was here earlier. And they were looking at both the turbocharger and addressing the hot side as an upgrade. They were also looking at the intercooler. Intercooler is particularly big in this car.
Yes.
Its limitations right now are the inlet and the outlet.
Okay.
So the core is a good size in terms of length, width, height, but the inlet and the outlet are going to be a restriction. I think it's interesting because you have one metal tank on the side or inlet and outlet, and you have the other side in plastic.
Yeah.
So I think that they would have probably done them both in plastic for cost savings, but they needed to still make the inlet to the intercooler in metal because of the heat. So.
Well, you know what? I mean, honestly, Don, I appreciate being able to catch you and your team as you guys are heading out here at the SEMA Garage, being able to give the viewers a bit of an inside look from, Toyota itself, the team that works on them, and being able to give people a glimpse pre-public release date of these cars. So, I mean, I really appreciate your time.
Got it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, having driven it in April, it would have been, I want to close with this. It would have been one thing to have all the specs and the write-up that everyone's been salivating about, that you've been talking about, all the anticipation. But if it didn't all work, and if there wasn't feedback to the driver, if the car didn't encourage you to go just a little bit harder because it's so rewarding to drive and so predictable, none of the specs on paper would have mattered.
Sure.
So after I had a chance to drive it and see how the sum of the parts came together, it was like, I love this car. That's all right, I love this car.
And then that's coming from an enthusiast, a mechanic, a builder. It's biased because you're with Toyota, but you are a builder and have been for years.
Here's the thing. You don't take my word for it. pick whatever media source you like. They all published reviews here just a little while ago. I don't care where you go. I guarantee you, whether they have their nitpicks or whatever else, they will say what I say. And the reason why they'll say what I say is because anyone that has red blood coursing through their veins, that considers themselves a car enthusiast, agnostically, regardless of the badge that's on it, will love this car. And not just because I say so, but if you look at everyone else who's driven the car, and most of those folks drove it at Utah Motorsports campus in Tooele, Utah, you're gonna find that they're saying the same kind of thing that I am, with no affiliation with Toyota at all.
Okay, so there it is, right? Have you guys found anyone who on paper or digitally on paper disagreed with what he said? Because I haven't. I mean, I did the research, I looked it up, and I know a lot of the people that went and have driven it, and he's absolutely right. So have you guys read anything to the contrary in any official source from people who've driven it, not just people who might not like how it looks? Let me know, because I actually want to go look and read for that for myself, because I don't think I read any negative reviews, right? So once again, Don, appreciate you guys. And we're gonna give you guys a little bit of a closer look with the cars. Him and his team are out, but I'm staying here at the SEMA Garage and we're gonna capture it, okay? Thanks, Don.
Thanks, appreciate it.
All right, you guys, so we finally have quiet time for only a small period of time, but with now all three in here. So we have their white color, this heavy metal color, and the black color that once again is only available on the core model. So, I mean, it's hard to say that any car doesn't look good in black, but this one, right, you've got the 4 doors or the 5, you know, the whole hatchback thing. Like what we were talking about earlier, this whole hatchback thing, right? Any Japanese car enthusiast, we have been into hatches, hatchbacks, this whole hot hatch category that's somehow, you know, come full circle. And we're back now with hatchbacks, which, I mean, my first car was an EG, and I still have like 3 different hatchbacks at home. So, I mean, these are bigger, these have more weight, sometimes even more doors, but they're still hatches. So here we are in the SEMA Garage, and we have this car is ticking boxes that we all have talked about, right? So we're talking about all-wheel drive, number 1, 6-speed manual transmission, number 2, and a 300 horsepower production car. 300 horsepower, 6-speed manual transmission, and all-wheel drive. It's hard to not already be like, whoa, 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 right? Yes, it's in the Corolla name, but the guys who are Hachi fans, the guys who are 8086 fans, the Scion FRS, now GR86s and all that, it's been here. This is where we are. The design language, it's bigger, it's bulkier, but is that better? And yet here we are with a car that just flat out looks good, right? This color is called heavy metal. Look at the haunches, right? I mean, and then of course you have black, which is only available. I was waiting for you guys to say it out loud because I've said it a bunch of times. It's only available in this core model. What car doesn't look good in black? I mean, this certainly does. Now, can you imagine this when like Veris or Voltex and all the different companies come out with a lip, they come out with side steps, they come out with a rear diffuser. Can you imagine? Black TEs or some, I mean, just the possibilities are endless, right? But I did capture some exhaust note. You guys got to hear what it sounds like. Now we're gonna go over some interior tidbits in a second, but I wanna show you guys with the little bit of lighting that we have, okay? So this is your Circuit Edition. So you've got the suede, you've got the red stitching, Of course, you got the Gazoo Racing logo. So you see the red stitching in various places, right? All right, now, right on the door as well. Okay, you have it right here on the heavy metal edition. There's a little bit better lighting here on the front seats, so you'll be able to see this. Right about there. Maybe not better lighting on this regard, but you get an idea of the red stitch, right? Now, you go over here to the base model, AKA the Core, and you have this really, really, really nice cloth instead of suede, but it's got this light gray accent, which is actually really, really nice. It doesn't look like you're really, you know, for everyone, you know, especially my Honda guys, you know, when you think racing, Type R, right? Red stitch is just classic for the hardcore Honda guys, right? So of course, when you have a circuit edition, a race edition, you're gonna have that kind of idea. But you know what? There's some sparkle seats that I've run on one of my cars that has this color, where it's this lighter color stitching. And to be honest with you, for those people that live in you know, climates where they're gonna get hot, some people don't want suede. Some people don't want you know, that kind of thing. Cloth is easier to clean. You don't feel so bad getting in it if you're sweating and things like that. Like, what do you guys think? Do you like cloth? Is suede sort of just a given that it's a step up and that's what you would want? I mean, you let me know. But I think it, you know, when you go to a base, AKA a core model with this GR Corolla, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't feel like you're going downward in that way, because so many aftermarket seats have that same type of stitching. But here, you know, the car, I've gotten a lot of comments about it that, oh, look at how crazy the lines are on the white one, when it's the same thing, right? I mean, you have, the circuit edition has functional vents, okay? You have functional vents in different places, and of course the forged carbon roof, which it's dusty right here, but you can see it. You guys can see it. You see it? I don't want to get too close there. And the exhaust note, which I have for you, we can go over this way. I mean, look at how crazy some of these lines are, right? Look at the way the shadow catches on some of these lines. So imagine when people decide to go wider. Imagine when people decide to go wider. Imagine when people decide to go crazier, or maybe wider but more subtle. I mean, you know, the way aero companies are able to accent or just reshape a car. So I'm actually very, very interested in what aero packages are going to come out by different companies for this vehicle. So I mean, look at the way it hits in different colors, right? Look at how strong the body lines are, and yet somehow it works. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, what are your thoughts? I really want to know what your guys' thoughts are. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me what you think about it. A lot of the complaints from the Honda guys were the non-functional vents and shapes on the previous CTR, and now the new CTR is really, you know, kind of addressing some of those things, right? As the hardcore Honda guys who are watching, you would say, like, I'd never buy a Corolla, I'd get a CTR. And I get it, trust me. But I'm trying to think to myself, wasn't it everyone who was also saying, oh, they should be a rear-wheel drive, oh, they should be all-wheel drive, oh, they should be this or they should be that? And yet here we are, and we have a whole lineup of vehicles from Core, AKA base, to Circuit, to Morizo Edition, which is all manual transmission, all 300 horsepower, all-wheel drive. And then you have the ability to have front and rear torsion, limited slip differentials. You have the ability to get these rarities, and you have the ability to adjust. That's the crazy part. The people who are gonna go 50-50, go 70-30 or 30-70 and 60-40, and be able to just have that much more fun, where you can then just go from rear seats down and 4 extra sets of wheels and tires all the way back up, and you can sit 4 to 5 people. It's kind of hard to argue that. And my question for you guys is, what is your take on this versus the Civic Type R, versus the Volkswagen Golf, versus the Elantra M? I want to know what you guys think about it. Looks wise, numbers wise, performance wise. I mean, those are all based off of the people who reviewed it, but I really want to know what you guys think about that, because looks are subjective, but performance isn't. Now, driver feel, driver feedback, you can't know that until you get in one, if you guys are going to get in one. But I really want to know where you are with that, okay? Let me know what you guys think. Heavy metal color, white, core model, black, SEMA Garage. My dude Christian, aka XCI Photo, came in here with me to capture these stills, which are going to be on my Instagram. This vlog is going to be on my YouTube channel. Dan Gardner from DG Racing and Toyota, he gave you guys that glimpse into some of the nuances and the stories behind each one. So it's a quick one. We're running out of time. Everyone's got to go. We got to lock up. It's late night. The sun's down. So big shout out to Lisa. Big shout out to RJ, SEMA Garage, for allowing myself in here with you guys before the public release of these vehicles, okay? I'll see you guys at the next one.